You're with the Mighty Glue Stick channel, the TMG channel. Welcome. This is a midweek update. And by viewer request, we're going to be discussing one of the more interesting and weird creatures of the game called the Genie, or the Djinn. In particular, the Genie, Djinni, of the 5th edition is specifically an air genie, as opposed to the Dao and the Marids and efreet. And the genie is a creature of air. Now, where they fit in the monstrology of Dungeons and Dragons, the cosmology, if you will, their place in the pecking order is outside of creation. They are an anomaly that is outside of the purview of the gods. They weren't created by anything. They created themselves, kinda. So they're a rare occurrence where somebody dies or their soul is somehow removed from their body and binds itself to an elemental force. So they're a weird conglomeration of a living soul with elemental power. And because they're a new creation, because they basically are a marriage of two very disparate things, they become the same sort of thing that the primordials were. Same sort of thing that a deity is. It's a life force that's bound to a cosmic power. And in the case of the genie, they're a life force which is bound to the power of air. The element of air is their stuff. And all of the power that is in the atmosphere is theirs to command and theirs to control. And they are, in many ways, I think, the most powerful of the genie kind, because they have the ability, and it's an option, but I really think the variant is not so much a variant, it's what you would expect of genies, to be able to grant wishes, just as the spell, and it's an incredibly powerful spell. It allows them to imitate any spell lower than a certain level, but this is something that they grant to other people generally. And I think if a genie can grant the ability to have three wishes to somebody else, it should be able to use the ability to wish itself. And that makes it incredibly dangerous in combat, because one of the uses of the wish is to go back to the previous roll and have it re-rolled, have the outcome changed, change reality itself. So you could imagine a combat with the genie where it just goes, nope, and wishes you to miss, or wishes you to lose your defenses, or wishes you to fail a skill check. It could drive you mental. However, they do have the ability of creation, and this is one of their at-will spell effects. They can detect evil and good, detect magic, use Thunderwave, and 3 times a day they can use create food and water, usually wine and fine food, fresh grapes and caviar. Tongues, be able to speak any language, wind walk, and once a day they can conjure an elemental servant, usually an air elemental, use the ability of creation, where they could make a 5-foot cube of solid gold or diamond. They could make a bunch of rubies the size of your fists. And although these are only going to exist for a certain amount of time, they are very real. And you can imagine how it would be able to bribe somebody who's not aware of the fact that these are temporary creations, to do whatever they want. It's like they have a limitless wealth temporarily. However, and here's the interesting thing, the difference between a god and a genie is that gods use worship of living souls. They use the power of souls, the power of belief, to make those creations permanent. And with a genie, they have no interest in being worshipped like a god. They find other beings tiresome. In a way, they're very childish. They are a creation who doesn't remember the living thing that they were in their previous life before they became a genie. They bootstrap themselves into existence, and they have no master. They have no parents. They have no control over themselves. They really just learn by their own experience through whoever they encounter on their limitless life, because they are effectively, unless they're destroyed, they're effectively immortal. And they are without checks and limits. They are an intelligence which can do whatever it wants. And they have real no attachment to others other than how others see them. So their self-worth is measured against how much awe they inspire in other people. And within genie society, they value possessions, influence, the amount of slaves they have fawning over each other, the amount of sheer opulent, disgusting wealth that they can display. They are the Donald Trump of monsters. Everything's gaudy and gold coated and opulent and the very best of the best and exquisite to the point of ridiculousness, hedonistic to the point of disgusting travesty. They are incredibly vain and self-indulgent and temperamental and tempestuous and petulant and egotistical and narcissistic. And they are incredibly powerful, so they're a dangerous force for anybody to come up against, really. And it's kind of a boon that they are so self-indulgent that really all you need to do is leave them alone or give them what they want or just wait for them to go away. They are the Q. If you've ever watched the Star Trek The Next Generation, they are the Q. And they have their own continuum, their own nobility, their own weird rules and regulations of their societies, but effectively they are temperamental children with unlimited power. The physical stats of a genie, I think, are largely immaterial, but if you are actually doing combat with the physical form of a genie, first of all, you need to get over the fact that they have damage immunity to lightning and thunder. They have their body disintegrates if it's destroyed and turns into a warm breeze, basically the puff of smoke that they bonded to originally. They really are nothing but living force combined with elemental power. They have no real physical form, just a collection of molecules bound together by will. And so their physical form can manifest in all sorts of different ways. I like to say that, much like the genie in Aladdin and the Magic Lamp, it can shapeshift and change form if it so desires. And really, no genie should look exactly like another genie. They should be very different and very unique and individual, because nothing's determined exactly what they should look like. They just come into being and form as they think they should form. Their appearance is very much an outlet of their personality, and those form over time. So when the genie first pops into existence, it will form up slowly and look a lot like some sort of air elemental, but it will behave in a very strange way for an air elemental, because it will understand living things and not be so in tune or so detached from what it means to be a human being. It will understand living things and it will have the same desires as a living thing. Very different from your average elemental, who are very aloof and alien in their outlook. So they've got a strength of 21 by the book, dexterity of 15, constitution of 22, intellect is 15, wisdom of 16, and a charisma of 20. So they are powerful, godlike titans, and they are physically very, very potent and mentally very sharp, very, very swift. They have bonuses to their saving throws: dexterity +6, wisdom +7, and charisma +9. So it's very hard to pull the wool over their eyes. They have perception, passive perception of 13, dark vision out to 120 feet. Their ability to speak the language of the air, Auran. But I would imagine they can also speak common, and they can cast tongues whenever they need to speak a language they're not familiar with. And I would imagine with an intelligence of 15, they'll pick up a language pretty quickly. They have, as I say, that innate spell casting, which uses their charisma. So their spell save DC is 17. They're +9 to hit with any spell attack. And with the ability to cast a wish, they can cast any spell that they so desire that's below a certain level. Let me just look that up for you on the wish. As I mentioned, creation's pretty potent, but wish is just off the charts. And If you do actually allow the genies to cast wish themselves, they would be high up there. They would be Genie Nobility. So this is a genie that's, I mean, it's not royalty. They have no parentage or anything like that. It's just basically they're the most well respected. They're the most feared. They have the biggest reputation. Stories are told about them. They have the most mana. They have the most physical and reputation presence in their own society, and that nobility allows them, I don't know, more confidence to manipulate reality per se. I don't know, maybe they just gain this ability over time as they try more and more grandiose things. So they can cast any spell that's under a certain level, 8th level or lower. 8th level or lower. That's, wow, that's pretty potent, man. Pretty potent. They can create items up to 25,000 gold piece in value that aren't magical items. They can create objects that are up to 300 feet in any dimension. They can cast restorative magic over 20 creatures, just to heal them back to normal. They can grant them damage resistance, up to 10 creatures, immunity to a single spell for up to 8 hours. Undo recent events, as I mentioned, and yeah, just do crazy stuff. Make cartoons real. Change the alignment of something. Turn a horse into a donkey. Whatever they want. It's amazing, and it makes them incredibly dangerous. And that act of creation, they create vegetable metal, stone or crystal. They can create rocks that fall out of the sky. They can create adamantine wedges or keys or manacles, pow, around your wrists, bind you, and of course cast fireballs and whatever you really like. So incredibly dangerous. Added to that is they like to carry around, make 3 scimitar attacks, attacking you like a whirlwind, +9 to hit, 12 points of slashing damage, +3 lightning or thunder damage, their choice. So the booming laughter along with actual booming. And create whirlwinds. A 5-foot radius, 30-foot tall cylinder of swirling air magically forms in a point the genie can see within 120 feet of it, and lasts as long as they maintain concentration. And any creature but the genie that enters the whirlwind must succeed on a DC 18 strength saving throw or be restrained by it, and it can move the whirlwind around 60 feet as an action. And any creature restrained by the whirlwind is moved with it. So they can pick you up with a whirlwind, take you where they want, and throw you with a strength of 18 as far as that will take you. And this ends if the genie loses sight of it or interest. And the creature can use its action to free a creature restrained by the whirlwind against that DC 18 strength check. But imagine, if you will, that this genie has started a whirlwind boring into the defenses of a castle just out of a whim, or it's started up the whirlwind in a settlement of people that had displeased it, and it just mows the place down with a strength of 18, breaks every bit of timber, smashes every roof, dries the well by sucking all the water out of it, throws livestock to their death, and showers everyone with splinters till their flesh is flayed off their bones, because nobody can tell them not to. You've angered them. And put that in a desert environment or something like that, and they could create just storms of sand. They could use magic effects to just blow up the atmosphere and cover an area with salt from the sea, or just, rain fire from the sky. Biblical shit. So allow them the ability to disguise themselves, move around in an immaterial form, and generally get up to no good. And I like to imagine that genies construct for themselves amazing floating castles, the sort of stuff that you do see in fairy tales and tales of the Arabian Nights and such. And they can only really be compelled by their own interests or appealing to their vanity. So that you basically talk them into proving that they're the best. And you can also compel them through magical means. They don't have any special resistance to magic, but of course you'll want to hide after you've finished doing your compulsion, because they're going to be really angry. Or at the very best, they all want to shrug it off like it never happened. So if you can compel them to do something which no other genie finds out about, you might get away with it, because they might just keep it quiet. They don't want anybody else to know what you did to them. And of course, there's that classic scenario where they're trapped and only granting wishes will free them, or they're beholden to somebody who has some power to restrain them or control them. Because there's one thing that genies absolutely hate, and that's being controlled by anybody else. They loathe it. They don't want to be beholden to anything, because they're outside of creation. They're free of the influence of gods, devils, demons, alien intelligences. They can go wherever they want, do whatever they want. Their very nature is freedom. And that really is all there is to genies. However you use them in your campaign, make them enigmatic, scary, because players they shouldn't trust them. They should fear whatever these things can do. They're very fickle. There's no telling what their interests are, what sort of games they're going to play. If you want to get inspirations for the personality of a genie, just go and watch any of the episodes of Star Trek where the Q are involved, and you'll understand. The happy-go-lucky genie of Aladdin and the Magic Lamp, yeah, that's probably not the norm. That might be maybe one genie in all of creation that's that happy to be a friend with a mortal. But otherwise, what is a mortal to a genie? It's a fleck of matter that's walking around for a limited amount of time. They have very little relation or empathy for mortal creatures, and they have nobody to tell them not to do whatever they want with them. So yeah, scary, scary, scary creatures. I don't personally want to encounter a genie, but I'll certainly use them in my campaign if I saw fit. Thanks for watching.